that down, let's move on to this, shall we? You know, we haven't had the opportunity, even though the film came out on Thursday, to sit down and talk about Thunderbolts. Of course, the world has spoken. If we go over to Rotten Tomatoes here, Thunderbolts is currently holding an 88% critic rating, but even more importantly, it's holding a 94% audience rating. Now, remember, this isn't one of these loser IMDb things where any jacktooth can jump on and go, oh, I think everything Marvel is great, so I'm going to hit 10 even though I haven't seen it. Or I think everything Marvel does sucks, so I'm going to hit 0 without even seeing it. These are verified. Like, these are all people who have actually bought tickets to the movie and saw them, and it's got a 94% audience rating, which is great. Now, I of course, did my Out of the Theater review. I had a blast. I don't think Thunderbolts, just to kind of sum up, I don't think Thunderbolts is top tier MCU. Like, I don't think it belongs in that same upper crust with Civil War, Infinity War. I don't think it belongs up there, but I think it's one of their great films. I put it personally on the same level kind of as the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and we'll get to that a little bit later. I just thought it was a wonderful film. Like, if I remember when they first announced a Thunderbolts movie, and this is before they announced that Red Guardian would be in it, but I was like, come on, guys. Like, it's one thing to make a Guardians of the Galaxy movie with a bunch of kind of relatively unknown characters who have never been on screen before. You're talking about making a movie with a bunch of B and C listers that have been on screen as B and C listers, and you're going to try to make a feature out of that? This seems ridiculous. I'll tell you what, and the film made $76 million opening weekend, blowing way past the initial projections. I said 60.
I mean, that doesn't even include the 11 on Thursday.
Right. And
Crazy.
I mean, it just, again, but it calculated the same way all movies calculate. Yeah. So apples to apples. But I mean, if you had told me, again, a year and a half ago, that you're going to have a Captain America 4 and a movie about a bunch of B and C listers that hardly nobody cares about, and they would be kind of in the same rough neighborhood of their opening weekends, I would have thought that was insane. But here we are. Again, you know, I thought the action was great. When they used humor, I thought it was hilarious. I laughed my guts out a number of times. Whenever Yelena would say, "We suck," I don't know why. The way she says it, I laughed my ass off. A hamster made me laugh. Don't know how that worked, or guinea pig, whatever it was. Oh, yeah. So the humor worked great. But the most important part of it wasn't the fights, wasn't the explosions, wasn't all the comic bookness of it. This was a movie about depression and about how a lot of people in our culture and society today struggle with loneliness and feelings of inadequacy and all this kind of stuff, facing their own void. And the way they handled it, it was with a deft hand that was never heavy-handed, but felt like punched you right in the emotional gut every time. And like, for me, we saw the lines in the trailer when Red Guardian says, "Yelena, when I see you, I don't see your mistakes." That's a great line in the trailer. But when you see it in context of the movie, it had double the impact on me, which I just thought was amazing. And then we saw in the trailer, she goes, "Okay, that was really good." That felt nice. But when you see it in context of the movie and in the context of the scene, it was like double impact. I'd already seen it 100 times in the trailer, but it punched me in the emotional gut anyway. Again, fantastic post-credit scenes, all that kind of stuff. Red Guardian, Sebastian Stan. I mean, everybody, Pullman was fabulous. You know, you forget that Steven Yeun was supposed to play that role.
Yeah, that's right.
And in comes Pullman, and he plays it, and he crushed it. He was fabulous in this role. And so, again, one of the weaknesses for me was, and this is a kind of a standard Marvel thing, the main antagonist, I'm talking about Valentina, not Void, because Valentina is really the antagonist throughout the film. Again, a little weak. That's not a reflection on Julie Louis-Dreyfus's performance. She was great as Valentina, but again, as an antagonist, could have done a little bit better, I think. But again, overall, I thought it was a wonderful film. I've already seen it twice. I plan on seeing it 2 or 3 more times. And Chris, you had a chance to see Thunderbolts. What was your impression of it? And we haven't talked about it yet at all. How did you feel about it?
Overall, so fun. Really enjoyed it. I thought it was a great film. And like the cinema trailer kind of promised, this doesn't feel like your typical Marvel movie. That was my big takeaway. Especially the way it's shot. I mean, just the really nice lingering close-ups, these kind of free-form moments too. I just felt really, really different from what we've gotten. This is a great ensemble, though I wish we utilized Ava more. She sometimes was just there. To say something pithy or use her power conveniently. I feel like we could have delved into her stuff more. Loved all the John Walker stuff, but the Yelena Red Guardian stuff is really the heart of this film too. I mean, not getting super into spoiler territory, but just the Daddy, I'm So Alone crushed me.
That was so powerful.
I was not expecting to cry in a Thunderbolts movie, and I was like, oh, I don't, that really snuck up on me. This was just beautifully done. Her chemistry with Lewis Pullman is off the charts.
Yeah.
And I've never really had it for him in other movies or shows that I've watched him in, but this one, there was so much of his dad in this performance, it felt like. Just so many little expressions. I was like, oh, that's our president's face right there. Yeah, that's great. He was wonderful. And I agree with you. I wish Julia Louis-Dreyfus was utilized in a more actually sinister way. In a lot of moments, I feel like there's some moments where they pulled their punches and we could have had some real stakes with a certain other character involvement too, as opposed to just using them as a kind of MacGuffin. And I felt like if we're being promised she's willing to do these terrible things, I want to see a few more of those terrible things actually being done. I don't want her to be sanitized.
You know, one of the things that really stood out to me, that really helped make the movie work, Red Guardian, who I was excited about his presence in this movie right from the day they announced him. But the ability of Red Guardian to be the major comic relief of a scene and then seamlessly transition into true emotional truth kind of moment. Like he says something like wacky to Yelena's apartment and then, Yelena, what's wrong? And then actually have that light has gone. He starts speaking like really emotional truth stuff, just like from the stuff. Again, I'll just stick to the stuff you saw in the trailers. The stuff in the trailer, he says something like crazy. But then he can sit down with Yelena and say, listen, when I look at you, I don't see your mistakes. I see that little girl who wanted everybody else to be able to count on in case they make mistakes. You know, like that the ability of Red Guardian to not just be a yuck character, and he was hilarious when he was yuck, but it wasn't just that. He was also a very caring, concerned father. And the way he was able to seamlessly go back and forth between those two is, I think, a testament to the writing and a testament to David Harbour for his ability to perform that. Anyway, so that's why that part of it kind of stuck out to me. We want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Stitch Fix. Guys, you know I love movies, but you also know I have absolutely no fashion sense, and I absolutely hate shopping for my clothes. But thankfully, I have found a better way. Stitch Fix online personal styling makes it easy. With Stitch Fix, I get a stylist who understands my style, size, and budget, and they do all the shopping for me. Because look, shopping and figuring out style can be overwhelming, especially for somebody like me. When it comes to getting dressed, I don't even know where to start, to be honest. That's why I love having a Stitch Fix stylist. They really know what works for me. I get pieces that make me look great, and it's a real confidence boost. You just give your stylist your size, style, and budget preferences. You get to order boxes when you want and how you want, no subscription required. They send you personalized pieces, and the fit is always on point. No stores, no crowds, no stress. Just personalized looks that you will love. So guys, make style easy. Get started today at stitchfix.com/Campea. That's stitchfix.com/Campea. Anyway, Rob, you had a chance to see Thunderbolts. The only thing that we texted to each other was you texted me, man, those Avengers outfits. It's like, yeah, they were pretty badass. But what did you think about the movie?
I have to tell you, when, you know, I'm always looking for, like, I don't have a preconceived notion about how something's going to be before I go see it. I really don't. When the movie opened and you heard Yelena's voiceover and she's telling us, and there's that long extended
Something
sequence,
is wrong with me.
you know, yeah. And then she finally goes, oh, maybe I'm just bored, you know, and I was so involved in the film because that was, I think, a great way to tell us this is a different kind of a film. I appreciated a lot of it was shot practically. There wasn't a lot of green screen set extensions. They did a lot of real practical work. But to me, again, it was a different kind of a movie. I know that there's been a lot of pushback in our movie space online. You've heard a lot of people. I did a show about how much I like this movie, and I thought it was surprisingly emotional. Like, I was not prepared for how immersed in it I was emotionally. Because normally when you're watching a fantasy film, you don't relate yourself to it. And I was thinking, just to my own headspace. So I finished this big project that you're in. I've been working on it for the better part of a year. When you finish a project, it's just over. There's no parade. There's no fanfare. No one says anything. You're just not working on it anymore. You finish it, you put it out in the world. You're sitting there wondering, you're twiddling your thumbs going, wow, I've been so creatively immersed for a year in this project. Well, now what do I do? And as soon as Florence Pugh was giving this voiceover and she's kind of going through the motions, and when, like you said, she picked up the gerbil and she kept it with her.
Yeah.
I mean, at first that was amusing, but then as she's walking out of the building and she still has it, they don't turn it into a joke after that. It doesn't become a punchline. She just has it, and she's taken it out and rescued this. Like, the people that she's dealing with are less important to her than this damn gerbil, and it meant something. And I'm watching it, and I was completely emotionally in tune with this film. And if you think about it, it's not a big sprawling movie. I mean, a lot of it takes place in basically 3 locations, and it's really about the emotionality of all these characters. And I'm like, you know what? I haven't seen a Marvel movie like this before. I mean, I've had all the world-destroying, apocalyptic, intergalactic whiz-bang. That's great. But this film really, dare I say it, touched me on an emotional level that I was unprepared for.
Aww.
And I, when it was over, I felt fulfilled. And when I saw
That's a good way to put it.
when I saw Captain
Very full,
America,
very filled.
Brave New World, yeah. But I saw that I was left sort of empty when it was over. There's a lot of cool. I liked Anthony Mackie in it, but I'm watching the story. The story itself was full of loose ends, and it was not a fulfilling time at the movies. But when Thunderbolts was over and the credits started rolling, I was sitting there going, I just got a full meal. It was a different meal than I expected, and it was a different meal than I think a lot of people might have expected. But I think it was the movie that I needed to see today, now. And it said to me that the Marvel Cinematic Universe does have places to go that they haven't explored yet. And that was kind of uplifting.
Let me ask this question, because I was thinking about this the other day, and I was talking about this on the post-game show, which was like a little over 3 hours long, but it's not a surprise. Since Endgame, I've been fairly dissatisfied with the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
All of it.
Yeah.
Not all of it for me, but I mean, like they've had some big wins. Guardians 3.
Yeah,
they've had some big wins here and there. Some things I've really enjoyed, but for the most part, I've been like kind of dissatisfied with the Marvel Cinematic Universe of late. But when I sat down and thought about it, if you count the movies and the TV shows, for me, 5 out of the last 6 have kind of hit. Because obviously for me, Captain America, Brave New World did not work. That one didn't work. But we had Deadpool and Wolverine. We had Daredevil Born Again. We had Agatha. We had... What's the other one? How far back was Guardians 3? Anyway, so 4 out of the last 5 or 5 out of the last 6 Marvel projects has actually worked. So here's the question. Is Marvel back? And like, I don't feel ready to say, listen, I'll answer that question first. I don't feel ready yet to say Marvel is back. I will say it if they crush it with Fantastic Four. If the next one we get, Fantastic Four, is on the level of Thunderbolts, I will say Marvel is back. I'm not quite there yet, but it's certainly on the right way. Chris, is Marvel back?
That's the hard-hitting comments you come here for. It really just kind of depends on what you're into, honestly. I've had a little lackluster feeling about Marvel for a while here, but certain movies have really hit hard for me, so I don't know if it's been a have they ever gone or have things just not been completely to my taste. You know what I mean? Because Guardians 3, freaking love that movie so
love it. It
hard,
was
and
great.
we'll get into all of this in a little bit. So I feel like they're finding their footing again in a season where they've had quite a few stumbles, but I don't think they fully plummeted.
Oh, yeah,
I
I don't think-
mention Spider-Man No Way Home.
Yeah.
Yeah,
which
I
is
don't think
incredible.
they fell through the manhole
No,
cover or anything.
which
But
I
I
think
mean,
parts of the internet that get very loud are like, Marvel's lost it. They've totally ruined everything they've built. Go
I
woke,
know.
go broke. And
But
that's
I-
not what's happened.
but I think everybody can agree, and I've said this before, I think everybody can agree that when you look at phases 1, 2, and 3 up to Endgame, maybe them being about here, that however far down you think they've dropped, they have certainly diminished a bit.
For sure.
So, Rob, what about you? Like, when you look at the recent projects we've got, now, obviously, we didn't like Captain America Brave New World, but does it look like they're on their way back to their former status?
I don't think so yet. But I would say this. You know what I'm missing from the MCU? I'm missing the you of it. Like, this was a solid movie. If there was never another Marvel movie after this, I'd be fine with that. I'm like, okay. The problem is the wider universe was being so carefully constructed in phases 1, 2, and 3. From the end credits where Sam Jackson talks about the Avengers Initiative in Iron Man and how they built out a universe. I feel that what's missing from the Marvel Cinematic Universe is the universe aspects of it. They don't feel like, yes, you could say the end tag was building something, but not really. It was just these people are here, so they're taking this position of whatever. There's no Brave New World had no real impact to me. I mean, it was a globe-spanning movie that felt very small. Thunderbolts was really unconcerned with anything outside the external, the characters that they showed us. There was not, I mean, you could say, okay, there's some things that are coming, but in terms of within them, I mean, is Kingpin Mayor of New York? I don't know. I mean, did it matter? No, but it would have been nice if the Kingpin was Mayor of New York still. That would have broadened the universe aspect of what I'm talking about.
We were talking about this after the movie of all you needed to do was have Daniel frantically dealing with phone calls and then Pompeii.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably because the movie was made a while ago,
Yeah.
that they didn't know that Kingpin was Mayor of New York. And so they had, but that's what I feel is missing, that the part of the appeal of the Marvel Universe was how they were building this universe out. And there were different, Guardians of the Galaxy gave us this facet of it. And Thanos, if you want something done, you do it yourself. There was always something building. And now it feels all these things are going into these dead ends and there's nothing being built.
Yeah, I've always disagreed with you on that, though, myself personally, because, like, to me, either you make a good movie or you don't. Like, it's ramifications to the larger movie. And, like, I agree that in the recent phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, they have not done a very good job of connecting their universe. I totally agree. But whenever I've walked out of a movie I didn't like of theirs, it's never been, it didn't connect to the wider universe. It's always been because they just made a bad movie.
Right. Well, there's that too, but there was that extra added oomph that you got excited about things that were promised. And this, I mean, other than the fact that we know there's another movie coming out, you know, and we know that there's another movie being made, where is it all going? Like, and I don't feel like, I don't want to go see a movie going, what does Kingpin think? You know,
Well,
yeah,
we had to talk about that too, because remember, I think Marvel said like 2 years ago, and nobody talks about this more, when they said, we think from now on, our Disney Plus stuff is going to be a little bit more isolated from the movie stuff. So that's why I wasn't surprised at all that there's no mention of, and I'll be honest with you, watching the movie, I didn't give a shit whether or not they mentioned Kingpin. I didn't care if they mentioned Kingpin.
Oh, I did. I leaned over and went, hasn't New York been through enough?
Oh yeah, it's like, where's this martial law that they're supposed to be under right now? I just watched the movie and I thought they made a great movie. And
Well, we
that's
also
all.
don't know what year that took place.
It's true.
Because this movie ends, by the time it ends to the 14 months or 15 months later, whatever it was, you know, that would be like 2028. And then these events would be 2027 in the main movie. And
That's
where
true.
does Daredevil take place? 2025? Maybe it's 2 years before.
But you
That's
know, I've
true.
always
That's a lot of
liked
math.
when you're in New York, even Ghostbusters has that great scene. It's true. The man has no dick. You know, they have the city administrators, and you know, there's the void is taking over, and it happens very quickly. So I understand that there's no time to get the city fathers involved, but it still felt like they're in Avengers Tower, and there's all this crazy stuff happening there, which there wasn't even anybody going, God, why does everything always happen around this tower? Maybe we shouldn't reopen it.
Maybe
You
we
know.
should shut it down.
Shut it down.
All right, guys, the question is for you, though. What did you think of Thunderbolts? I know it opened a few days ago, but, you know, we didn't do a show on Friday, so here we go. I really enjoyed it a lot. Again, I don't think it's top tier MCU, but I thought it was really good. Whatever you guys thought about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.